Aurora Perry-Alis, at this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country.
Localized entirely within the confines of Monty's mouth.
Hey, I know what we're gonna analyze. The episodes in season 5. Hope it brings you laughter. This is Afterferb.
It's nice to have balloons and helium from two disgruntled clowns when the tri-state Aurora comes around. Oh, hi everyone. Didn't see you there. I was in the middle of singing my song.
Banger, absolute
This
banger.
is Afterferb. It's me, it's Alex. There's Andrew, there's Zach. I'm going to start with a potentially hot take.
Time out. I love saying there's Andrew, there's Zach, as if they could see us and you're pointing to us.
You don't see me waving?
Yeah, just over, look toward the west. Look toward the western sky. So my hot take that I want to open this episode with is that When the Tri-State Aurora Comes Around is the best song of season 5 so far. I'm being very definitive about it.
I loved it.
I agree with you completely.
Has Phineas and Ferb
Wow.
done like a bossa nova song before?
I don't think so.
It reminded me a lot of, not to get into a niche video game reference this early into the podcast, but if you ever played the game Katamari Damacy, it's this wacky little Japanese game and it has an awesome soundtrack, and this sounds like something that would have been straight from that game. That is to say, I loved it.
I kind of want to make a list of every single thing we've referenced in this podcast. Like,
Somebody will do it.
yeah. But no, I really enjoyed it, and I think I looked up who sang it. It was Sophia James. Has she done other songs this season, or was she separate for like just this song, if y'all know?
So I looked up Sophia James on the Phineas and Ferb fandom wiki page. I learned that she was on season 18 of American Idol. And I also learned, according to this page at least, that she sang two other songs for this season, including Pet Wash, which is crazy because that
So
did
she
not
has
sound like her
voices.
at all. She really somehow, I don't know, she changed her voice for that.
Was she doing lead vocals for that? I feel like she might have been doing some of the backing, because it sounded like
Oh.
a male voice.
I don't think it was a male voice, but it just sounded like a vastly different female voice.
Well, we know she's talented, because When the Tri-State Aurora Comes Around, total banger.
Seriously. All right, let's talk about this episode. Let's talk about this episode right now. I think we need to start with the Stacey Perry friendship.
Yes.
Because this is the first establishment of that we have this season. And really since that season 4 episode where Stacey learns Perry's secret identity, this is, I think, the first time they're really ever circling back to that.
Well, there is that episode. I think it's Drusselstein Ween where Stacy calls Monogram like the something repairman.
Mr. Water and Power
Mr.
guy.
Water, but that's the only callback. So no.
Yeah. And there was one reference to it in Drusselstein Ween, but this is the first time that we've actually seen Stacy and Perry like interact again.
Yes, and I gasped when I saw it. I loved it.
I like that they're just chilling and playing video games. I also like, it was funny when Monogram calls Perry on his wrist communicator, Perry kind of like scoots out of the way, and I think that's due to the fact that Monogram doesn't know that Stacy knows about the Alka thing. So not only is Stacy keeping the secret, but also Perry's keeping the secret that Stacy knows about it from Monogram, which is very funny to me.
Yeah, I liked that scooch, and I also really liked, because we were talking last episode about Perry's hat, and in what situations he needs the hat and doesn't need the hat.
Right.
He was wearing his hat while playing video games with Stacy on his off time. So I think it's just kind of like this thing where, anytime he is his real conscious self, he puts the hat on, and it's almost like a reflex that he takes it off when it's time for him to, act mindless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there have been any instances in the series where he has acted, macho like that, but without the hat.
I mean, he
Very rare.
pees on Doofenshmirtz's couch without a hat.
Oh, I think the only moment is across the second dimension when he punches Doof in front of the boys.
Yeah, and that's like a big, like, whoa, we're breaking the status quo
Yeah.
moment.
No,
So-
he punches
also,
the Perrytron.
From a writer perspective, I think it's very smart to have this moment with Stacy and Perry before the episode H&T for Teen.
yeah.
Because I'm not going to spoil anything about that episode, but I think a lot of people know what that episode's already about. But that would be such a bold episode to jump into without any pre-establishment if you're just like watching it in order.
Yeah.
And so it was smart to kind of hint at it in this episode.
Though I will say there probably is a casual viewer out there who didn't see the episode from season 4 where Stacy learns about the secret, just watch Aurora Perry-Alis, and then they were like, wait, what? What's happening?
Yeah. But I mean, that the exact same thing goes for a casual viewer who didn't watch much of season 4. Was like, who's Monty? Who is this guy? Why are they acting like I should know who he is?
I also find it interesting. So when Monogram tells Perry that Doofenshmirtz is on a cruise ship, he mentions that his aunt is on the cruise ship. He doesn't mention that his son is there. And this goes back to what we were talking about last episode, where I think Monogram just frequently forgets he has a child or just isn't in contact with him.
I think, that either, well, again, what we were talking about last time, I think Major Monogram is now divorced. So it could track that, well, I guess it is his aunt. So I don't know, it would be kind of weird. But, I think it's either, he just completely forgot to mention his son or doesn't care whether his son has a good time or not. Or Monty just didn't tell him that he was going on the ship too. Strange relations.
But once again, another storyline that I'm super psyched that they brought back, because I feel like that never really got resolved in the original run.
Yeah, it was a good setup, and that was like, I think my biggest hope before we even knew anything about season 5 was I wanted it to take place at the very least after, the first summer, so that they could have ongoing storylines like this. So once again, I think putting it a summer later was a great choice.
And I was worried that they were going to have a cop-out response for why they stopped touching, why did we lose touch in the episode? But it felt incredibly organic just to be like, star-crossed lovers thing.
Yeah, that was kind of stressful.
I think it was wrapped up. That made sense. It was organic. Also, shout out to Martin and Olivia Olson co-writing another episode together.
Yeah.
And it's fun that you got to write.
I like all 3 episodes that they did this season. We won't talk about the last one until much later. But
wait, have I not seen that one?
So they did Deconstructing Doof, Aurora Perry-Alis, and The Ballad of Bubba Doof.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that.
And I think they're all very good episodes.
Yeah, I think Olivia Olson, with this one in particular, it kind of feels like her being like, we got to bring back Monty. We got to bring this back.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want to start with that a bit, because this whole Vanessa shipping thing is kind of, it's a discussion. We've teased it a little bit. I, in the past, have been a Montnessa advocate. And here, my stance has slightly been, I guess I'll say, updated.
Okay.
And here's what I'll say now. I'd be like, if these were real people, I'd be like, sure, this works. But my issue is that Monty Monogram is just so boring. That's really what it is. It's like,
no, I agree.
Even
his character design, he's like I think Major Monogram is drawn in a way where he has that gigantic mustache because his nose is only shaped like that because of his mustache. So when you remove the mustache and you just have Monty, he's this awkward looking guy with a unibrow and a giant nose, and he just wears a gray hoodie. He doesn't look like somebody who should be in Vanessa's league. Zach is showing me a meme.
It's not a meme. It's a picture of
He's showing
Andrew.
me a picture of me wearing a gray hoodie.
It's a picture of Andrew wearing the gray hoodie with a quote that says, Monty Monogram is boring. He's just some guy in a hoodie. And Andrew didn't know that he...
I was dressed the exact same as
He was the exact same way when he said it. So I had to capture that moment on Christmas Eve.
Okay, but I don't go out like that.
No, you don't. You don't. But Monty does. And that's on him.
I think maybe part of it is just limited by the fact that there was just one part of this episode. But I think I would be much more enthralled by Monty if this, I'm just a normal, chill, regular guy in a hoodie was more balanced out with the acrobat stuff. If he was constantly just swinging around the room on a trapeze or something, and then he was just like, "Hey, it's me. I'm Monty. I'm a normal guy."
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the twist the first time Monty's introduced? It's like a subversion of the your parents wanting you to do something specific, right?
Yes, it's but Monogram wants him to live out his own dreams of being a trapeze artist,
but he wants to fight evil.
Yes,
which is I always thought that was a fun twist. But yeah, it was something. It was, I would say, one of the more interesting aspects of his personality, and we didn't really get that here.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say it's kind of hard for someone to remain attractive after you've seen what the inside of their mouth looks like, chewing mashed
inside
potatoes.
of their nostrils.
Yeah, seriously, kind of gives one the ick.
Okay, so I need to pose a question because I'm not sure if the episode left this intentionally ambiguous or if I just missed something.
Shoot.
We have that moment where Doof hears Monty and Vanessa dating, and he's like, "This was your secret boyfriend?" But he doesn't really make a bigger deal out of it than that because then he immediately gets swallowed by Monty. So is it supposed to be that because he's so small and can only see Monty from this one angle that he doesn't realize that this is Major Monogram's son? Or does he realize it's Major Monogram's son and this is going to change things going forward?
I have a theory. I think if he realized that it was Major Monogram's son, he would have had a much bigger reaction. I wouldn't be surprised if this is setting up something that's going to happen in a later episode, where like Monogram mentions like his aunt or son that was on a cruise ship or something. Like, because I feel like they can't be done with Monty. I think they're going to bring Monty back, but
Probably. I don't know. I feel like if it wasn't meant to be him realizing it, they would have thrown in a line like, I don't even know who this guy is, but his nostrils are huge.
Yeah, because I think he did say star-crossed lovers.
Yeah, he does hear that.
But he does hear that part, but I don't... Yeah, it's hard to know. My read on it was, okay, he knows who this guy is, but he doesn't say anything specifically about Monogram's son, so it is still kind of ambiguous, actually. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it does definitely feel like we're not done with this thread.
Yeah.
that's my take on it.
I'm going to stand by my take that Monty and Vanessa are well written, but Ferb has more riz.
Ferb has way more riz.
I think the right man for Vanessa has not yet been seen in the Phineas and Ferb universe.
Ooh,
he's out there
maybe
somewhere.
it's neither of them.
Yeah, it's neither of them.
Maybe it's a woman.
Could be. I mean,
probably.
I know there's like Vanessa Stacy is a ship that exists.
They have a really small moment in that Jerusalem Stino episode where I think it's like they try to pass off that Vanessa's date is Stacy, and Monogram's just like, oh.
Yeah. And we'll get to the slumber party too. We certainly will.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything to say about Lawrence getting stuck in a Congo line or not really?
Man, it is really supporting your claim that Lawrence this season is kind of just a stupid dad. I mean, it's funny, but he's not really doing a lot of...
There's a moment later in this season in an episode I watched where that felt very sitcom dad-esque, and I'm afraid I have to agree. Also, it was surprising that we only saw that gag twice. Like, of him doing
of the
cha-cha.
conga, yeah.
Or maybe that the fact that like it didn't circle back to something or come into play. I mean, it was amusing.
Yeah, I still liked it. Like, I'll take more
enjoyed it.
appearances of Lawrence, even if he's a little bit more dim, because he's still just funny whenever
He's
he's
still
there.
just a delightful character.
Yeah.
I do think at some point we're gonna get a more maybe not serious Lawrence moment, but a Lawrence is relevant, Lawrence helps moment at some point in season 5.
Yeah.
I really hope we do at least.
My favorite moments with Lawrence have always been when he's like legitimately trying to help Candace or like doing something with his own dad. Like those more like kind of like emotional like family beats. So I hope that they can still tap into that eventually.
A Lawrence episode is always a good episode in my book.
You know what? This was also a Django episode. And by that I mean he was on the cruise ship, which implies that so was Jenny, and Candace didn't even know. She was too focused on trying to bust her brothers.
They've really drifted apart. It's a shame.
I was gonna say, did they have a falling out or something? I honestly,
I don't know,
think
because she's not at the
anything-
sleepover. Sorry, that's ahead, but
It is ahead. If any, I guess I'll just very quickly say, I think if anything, it's Jenny, who's very much like, I just want peace and calm in my life, who is drifting away from Candace, who's like, I don't like this girl's energy.
it does make sense that the personalities would clash a little bit.
Jenny's going to protests, okay? She's busy.
Also, for those listening, I am aware that we're looking way too much into this. I'm positive they just put Django there because it was like somebody in their incidental library they could use. But I like to think that it was more intentional.
I want to talk about Phineas and Ferb now, i.e. the
podcast?
characters on this podcast.
That's risky, but okay.
This, I guess you could call it an invention, but it wasn't really an invention. The main one was the enormous balloons lifting the boat above the clouds in order to see the Aurora Perry-Alis, the tri-state aurora.
At this time of year, at this time of day,
yeah,
in this part of the country, localized entirely in the tri-state area.
Localized entirely within the confines of Monty's mouth. Yes. Yeah, I really, really like, and it doesn't happen so often, where Phineas and Ferb put their skills not only for the use of like fun and play, but for the betterment of like, oh, let's improve these people's day. Like, oh, these people are all disappointed that they didn't get to see this thing. Let's figure out a way that they can do it. It's all, I feel like, dude, we're getting the band back together is kind of like the epitome of that. Like, we're gonna
the Lawrence episode.
Focus our powers towards, doing something really nice for our parents and by extension, like kind of the whole neighborhood. And I think this episode for this season 5A is kind of unique in that respect, that it's not really something like, oh, here's a play structure we're gonna jump around on or jump around the city or roll around or something like that. It really is just like, let's make sure these people's trip isn't ruined.
Yeah, and I like not only is it like they're trying to help, you know, the people that they're with, but I also like that this was an episode where it was just the Flynn Fletcher family. Don't get me wrong, I love Isabella, Baljeet, and Buford, but I think like it is a little bit of a different vibe when it's just Phineas and Ferb, and I think we got to see some of that shine in this episode for that reason.
That's why I really like Hawaiian Vacation.
Yeah,
or like any episode that takes the main action like out of the backyard, but specifically focusing on the family. Swiss Family Phineas is another good example. Okay,
can we just talk about the Flynn Fletchers? They have some like pretty expensive vacations because they go to Hawaii, they go to Africa the same summer.
What are they selling at that antique store?
Dude, it's the Lindana money. They're just writing that out.
Why didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
honestly, I somehow find myself less bewildered by the fact that they can afford a bunch of vacations, that Phineas and Ferb can afford all the materials for their inventions.
Yeah. I do like, though, that even though Phineas and Ferb, when it's necessary for the plot for them to just pull their resources out of, like, hammer space, sometimes they have to make them contextual. Like, in this episode, they got the helium from the disgruntled clowns.
Do you think Phineas and Ferb have seen Up? And that's what
is Disney canon in this universe?
Yeah, like, do you think they like watched Up and they were like, I know what we're gonna do someday, and then
well, they mentioned Disney Plus in We're Back.
Yeah,
so maybe they have.
They saw Up and then got inspired.
They have Disney Plus in High School Musical, the series.
That's true. So this is in the same universe as High School Musical, the series.
I'm loving all of these details. But anyway, no, I like this plot. I like the return to Ferb's drawing board. Like somehow he was able to get that on board.
Can I want to quickly pick a bone with both of the teenage girls in this episode. And I typically love Candace and Vanessa, but I got to say, they both annoyed me a little in this one. Firstly, I know that Candace, obviously her goal is busting Phineas and Ferb, but I feel like usually when she approaches a situation like a cruise ship, her attitude is more like, I want to enjoy this. Oh, Phineas and Ferb, what are you doing? Now I have to bust you. In this one, she saw the ship and she was like, I'm going to bust them on this ship. Like, girl, you didn't even know what they were doing yet.
Yeah.
And for Vanessa, my problem was Doof's travel sizinator is actually like awesome. Like he has this tech, right, where he can bring his own furniture and like TV and stuff like onto a cruise ship with him. And Vanessa's just like not having it. Like I get when he's like trying to be evil, but he was just being creative. Why was she so mean to her dad about that?
Wait, no, he wasn't taking his own things. He was stealing the things from the cruise ship.
I thought he initially showed that he was like bringing stuff from home.
No, he's stealing stuff from the cruise ship.
He immediately started stealing things. If he had done the
reverse and was like, we brought so many clothes, we brought some food, we brought some drinks, we brought some surfboards, whatever, like that'd be one thing. But no, he was just stealing.
What? Okay, yeah. I guess that's fair. I guess he was breaking the law, but I think the technology is cool regardless.
No, it is cool. Yeah, I understand what you're saying about Candace, and I wrote, if I had a nickel for every time an Ashley Tisdale character got aggravated at a cucumbers on the eyes spa, ... Yeah, no, Vanessa I got it because Doofenshmirtz was literally like, I'm taking a break from evil, and while I'm taking a break, I am going to steal things.
Yeah. So I get why, although they acknowledged that at the end, he didn't actually violate the law. It was all inclusive. The only law he violated was bringing a pet on board.
Which is a great punchline to the episode.
Yeah.
Also, I really like I know this isn't the first time it's happened, but I always love instances where Doof and Perry are affected by Doof's innator, and then they have to, like, fend for themselves together.
Yeah.
But then they're still fighting during it. Like, this was a good example, because, like, Perry, you know, used the slingshots to save Doof when he was in Monty's mouth, but then starts kicking his ass once they get to the castle, and I always love those instances.
Yeah. Also, I think it's cool, when they first shrunk down, I initially was like, oh, this is just like when you're small. But they were the only maiden characters that didn't get shrunken down in that episode, so it was cool that we got a Doof and Perry being small to kind of complement that.
Why does this season keep mentioning potato salad, by the way? Because it's mentioned in a later episode, too. What's going on? What's the deal with that?
So maybe it's not recurring yet.
I think there's one where he like fights like food that has become sentient. Maybe
yes, that's a later episode.
Okay,
but it's still 2 instances of this season them utilizing potato salad as a plot device, and that's unusual.
If I had a nickel.
Yeah, well, for now we would only have 1 nickel.
Sorry, we got deep.
Post in the comments how many nickels you think we will have by the end of the season for potato salad appearances.
Yeah, and remember to include the hashtag potato salad nickels.
We need to let these hashtags happen organically. I don't know if potato salad
I refuse.
nickels is quite doing it.
I refuse. I'm telling everyone what to comment every time. Hashtag potato salad
fair.
nickels.
But no, kind of circling back to Candace, I think this episode was yet another instance of when the invention goes away at the end, it still being a nice moment for Candace.
Yeah.
Like her having that, like, oh, I'm so happy our mother-daughter day was great. Like, I'm happy that they're giving Candace more W's.
Yeah, she gets any win that isn't actually busting Phineas and Ferb, and I love to see it.
Yeah, I'm liking that she's winning more often. One of my least favorite moments in Phineas and Ferb history is in Candace gets busted when Candace gets busted. Because I'm like, why did they have to? Why did they have to do that?
I think that episode is one of the least favorite moments.
I want her to like do something trouble-worthy, and then she gets away with it too. I hope that would have felt great. It would have felt cathartic, but no. Couldn't have had it. Anyway, the episode ends with Strauss's "The Blue Danube," a very famous waltz.
Great usage of that.
I was like, this is so, it fits so perfectly, but it's also so random that I don't know if it's a reference to something. Was this like in a movie where they saw some kind of pretty thing in the sky that I'm not aware of?
I mean, not that I can think of. I think it's just a really good piece of classical music, and I liked how they used it. I'm a sucker for this one. I'm a sucker for Night of the Hall Mount King, or what's that one called?
In the Hall of the Mountain King?
In the Hall of the Mountain King. Wow, I butchered that name. But no, it's just good stock classical music.
On the topic of obscure things that I'm not sure how intentional of a reference they're supposed to be, the last thing that I have to say about this episode, so I was curious who was voicing the captain of the ship, who is called Sven Jørgensen. And I looked it up, and I couldn't find it out because it's credited as additional voices. But what I did find is there was a real person named Sven Jørgensen from Denmark. He was an ecologist and a chemist. I don't know how famous he is, but he has his own Wikipedia page. And I think the captain of the ship was, he had like an accent like he was from Denmark. So I feel like this might be some obscure joke from the writers that they really wanted to include this chemist.
I'm gonna add on to that, just because one of my favorite jokes in the entire series is this gag in Summer Belongs to You, where two sailors are talking, and one of them references a sailor named Karen Johnson.
Yeah.
It seems like a non sequitur, but there is a Wikipedia page for a sailor named Karen Johnson.
It's like the shortest Wikipedia page I've ever seen.
Yeah, it has one paragraph and then references. But apparently she's real, so I wouldn't put it past the writers to do something like that again.
I will say I don't think that this was intentional, and here's my reason. I think that
what was Karen Johnson?
I'm talking about Sven Jørgensen. I think the joke they wanted to do was, let's have a like super duper Scandinavian sounding name and a funny Scandinavian accent. And if you come up with a super Scandinavian sounding name, 100% chance that there is somebody from Scandinavia that has a similar name.
It's a lot of ENANENON. Like, there's a lot of N's in Swedish names.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think especially in Scandinavia, it's a very much like, I'm sure historically at some point, specifically in Denmark, I think. So, like, if your dad's name was Jorgen, then your last name would just be Jorgensen.
Right.
Or Jorgen Dag.
Yeah, but it's
if your dad's name
Jorgensen's
was
son.
Tim.
Yeah, and that's the joke, because that just makes it sound more Danish or more Scandinavian, is because you add another son to it, and that's a very Danish thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think, like, because if I come up with some other Scandinavian sounding name, like, I don't know, Jorgen Svensson, I bet there's probably someone called Jorgen Svensson. If we looked that up.
If that's your name, leave us a comment.
We want to hear from the real Jorgen Svensson.
Oh my god, I remember when we posted the Mishti video to the MWCA page, we referenced the Goa region of India, mostly because it rhymed, but then we got a comment of someone that's like, I'm from there, and that made my day.
I just looked up Jorgen Svensson. There is an IMDb page with a guy named Jorgen Svensson, and there is a hockey player named Jorgen Svensson. No, I'm telling you, like, there's only so many different ways you can put these names together.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay, that's fair.
Well, There you go.
This is gonna end up in the bio of the video. Like, watch Alex, Zach, and Andrew talk about the episode, the Fireflies, and Sven Jørgensen.
The Fireflies.
That's almost probably exactly the bio I'm gonna write.
Sven Jørgensen and Jørgen Svensson. All right, I have one last question.
Shoot.
Yeah, shoot.
I just have to figure out what it is.
You always start this before you've thought of it.
Yeah, because I started doing this. Okay.
Can I ask a question while you're thinking of a question?
Sure.
Or maybe not ask a question, just more of a comment. I think at the rate that those balloons shrank, that ship should have come like crashing to the ground. I don't know why it like was a graceful float down. Because those balloons shrank so quickly.
Yeah, but there's a lot of them.
I don't know. I was surprised it didn't come crashing down.
All right, here's my question.
Oh, okay.
My question is, what are we going to do with the rest of this helium?
I have helium balloons in the other room. Should I grab them?
I don't know. I'm tired of inflation.
Nah.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey!
All right, I guess that's
Good
the
spot
answer
for a
then.
commercial break, don't
What would you do, Alex? You have to answer your own questions.
Oh, yeah, I do. I would keep it in a box in the garage.
So it would just be like a box floating at the top of your garage.
Box full of helium, just in case I need it later.
But then can you grab onto the box and like fly with it?
No, it's not that light. All right. Well, that's been Aurora Perry-Alis. We'll be back very, very super, super duper duper incredibly, extremely soon to talk about Lord of the Firesides. And we might have a special guest coming on to talk about it with us. I don't know.
One of these times where you say we might have a guest, we should just not have a guest. Just say, see, we said might.
Keep them on their toes, you know?
Like in the Amazing Race when they go, the last team to check in here may be eliminated. And like 95% of the time they are.
Afterferb episode 6 featuring Tami Rosales? Question mark?
Hey, we all live in a cupcake jamboree. Cupcake jamboree. Cupcake jamboree. Oh, hi everyone. I didn't see you there. Oh, and look, we have we have an extra person now. We have a new guest. Is that all the way from Argentina, formerly playing Isabella Garcia-Shapiro, leader of the Fireside Girls, the one who translated the entirety of Six the Musical into Spanish without breaking any laws along the way? Is that Tami Rosales?
Woo! Great intro.
Yep, that's me. That's my entire portfolio right there.
Welcome.
Isabella, Illegal 6, Afterferb.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything I've done.
All right, Tami, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Tami, former Isabella from MWCA. I'm an architect student and also a singer on YouTube. So yeah, I might have done something illegal about Six, but everything's legal now. Don't you worry about it. We just sang songs from the show, and that's it.
Just sang songs from the show.
And huge Phineas and Ferb fan.
Since when?
Yeah, talk about how long you've been a Phineas and Ferb fan and like being part of the fandom and stuff like that.
Well, I've been watching the show ever since it premiered in Argentina, which was I think 2008. Because back then I didn't have a connection to the internet. I just had cable, and so I had to watch it like that. But then after I had my first internet account ever, I pretty much got into Phineas and Ferb and the fandom itself. I started posting drawings on DeviantArt back in 2012, which was forever ago. Holy. And then I met a bunch of my current friends from the fandom, and then I somehow met Andrew in another Discord server.
I think we were like
weird.
neutrals on Twitter, and then when MWCA was happening, I was like, you should audition.
We might have been, because I remember you did your Major Monogram impression, and I did my Isabella impression on that server.
Yes. No, we were in a Discord server. They did a reading of Summer Belongs to You, but it was all text. It wasn't even like over voice, but we were both in that. Yeah, that was like 2019 or something. Random.
Yeah. And
one
so
of my favorite Andrew
then.
and Tami collaborations is Isabella and Major Monogram sing Adulting, and Isabella does the Dr. Doofenshmirtz part, and Major Monogram does the Isabella part.
Oh, that's a niche video.
Cursed.
Tami sounds like Beetlejuice in that.
Yeah. Those are those 3 a.m. covers that we usually do with Andrew.
Yeah.
Nothing good will come
Should
out
link
of
that in the comments.
Yeah, we will.
Maybe we'll play a clip from it right now.
Dig a hole, pitch a tent, navigate, circumvent, chop a tree, build a snare, catch a fish, fight a bear.
Wow, that's so good. I love it.
That was such a good
We
clip.
sounded
Wow.
so
That was-
good.
That was such a great clip. So yeah, we invited Tami specifically onto this episode because she is a Fireside Girls expert. According to me, at least, no pressure, but the expectation is that you're an expert. And so far into the season, this is, I mean, by far the most Fireside Girls action we have going on, and the entire time they're basically under the influence.
Terrible way of phrasing
That's
it.
a great way of phrasing it.
That is one. They're under the influence of something. So how much we actually learned about these characters, I don't know. Kind of hard to say. But that's part of the episode. It really is just kind of the A plot is just one massive misdirect.
Yeah.
So I found that to be an interesting choice.
Yeah, I think this is what, the third episode of Phineas and Ferb where Isabella takes the A plot because they had Isabella in the Temple of Sap. And then there was, what was it? Where's Pinky? And then I feel like there was a massive jump before getting back here with Lord of the Firesides.
Unless you argue that Isabella is the protagonist of Night of the Living Pharmacists.
Oh yeah, they do have a pretty prominent role
That's
in that
true.
as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I found it interesting that it seems like a few Fireside Girls have joined their troupe. So typically, besides Isabella, they have the main six. It's Gretchen, Ginger, Holly, Katie, Millie, and Addison. And then every
Well
now
done.
and then when they need like a background Fireside Girl, like dance and Summer Belongs to You, whatever, they'll just have like a blonde or brunette Fireside Girl. But now they're like in the main group. They don't have names, presumably.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Now we
I
finally
think
got Melissa.
Yeah.
That's what
She
I was
used
going to
to
ask.
be a
I was
little
about to ask
spark.
Tammy, who's the girl in that one episode, the maze one? So, no, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to be a little Sparks, and now apparently she's a Fireside Girl, so she's grown a bit.
It's a year later.
She's now what, 7?
Well, that's a good piece of continuity.
And also presumably, we'll get to this because it's the end of the episode, but presumably the only Fireside Girl that wasn't under the influence in this episode.
By the way, speaking of Fireside Girls and Scouts in general, Andrew, can I turn this over to you real quick for a second?
Yes. So I would like to thank everybody who's been listening to Afterferb, but specifically anybody who's left a comment for us, whether on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever. And we got a comment that I think actually kind of serves as a question that's relevant to this episode. So this is from Bob, just Bob. He commented on our most recent episode. I just listened to all of the episodes as of June 19th. I didn't realize I could leave comments until you mentioned that Swampy left a comment. Keep up the great work. Your Phineas and Ferb Obsessed friend group sounds awesome. Thank you, Bob. Then he says, I can't wait for more episodes, particularly when you get to Lord of the Firesides. As an Eagle Scout / camp counselor, seeing the near constantly cooperative girls of seasons 1 through 4, I wondered, have Dan and Swampy ever met a real scout troop? And I guess, I'm realizing now, I think I misread this question a little bit, but what I thought I was asking was, have any of us been in a real scout troop? That's what I thought the question was.
Well, it ends with yes, they have. So I guess it isn't even a question. It's more of just an anecdote. I don't know.
Yeah, but
still, Bob, thank you for commenting.
Yes, thank you, Bob.
And thank you for doing all your hard work as an Eagle Scout.
Have any of you guys been in Scouts?
I haven't. No.
Nope, not even close.
I have not.
I can only assume that this episode was completely accurate based on
Probably.
on what you're
Well,
describing, Bob.
right.
So
It was
I think-
anticlimactic.
Yeah, I think what Bob's comment was getting at is during the first 4 seasons, it was very unrealistic how well the Fireside Girls constantly get along. And I would tend to, I think with any group of 7 people, you're bound to have disagreements. But I think it just goes to show how great Isabella's leadership skill is, that she can just constantly have everyone on the same page and never having any problems.
yeah.
Yeah, it took her 18 years to mess up like this. That's really impressive.
Yeah, she's 30.
She's 30 canonically.
It's been 18 years since 2007.
One thing I think is really fun about this episode is, yes, there is that reveal at the end that, they're all being affected by an Inator. But I still think we get to see a really fun progression of what it takes to push Isabella over the edge. Because despite the fact that, they were hit with this uncooperator, Is that what it was called? I don't know. She's still doing a really good job at keeping it together, and only when pushed to the absolute extreme does she snap.
I was actually shocked about the amount of time that it took her to have a valid crash out, because I would have crashed out at the very first minute.
Like as soon as they start fighting.
Not put up. Yeah, well, so many of the things that they were saying were so out of character. So I agree. I would have been shocked at first. POV, you're Isabella. But like, I don't know, they were so violent all of a sudden. Like, you should get a shut your cake hole patch. Like,
oh
hello?
Yeah, that comment from Addison.
That one didn't get me quite as much as, oh, do you have a patch for being
basic? That's a great line.
That's a great line.
See, do you have a patch for being basic? Felt like a normal kind of rude tween thing to say, but I feel like
zoom-ins.
Yeah, the zoom-ins, and the Addison littering one was like being like shut your cake hole was really like, that was the point where I was like, okay, either they're really hamming it up with they're almost teenagers now and they don't get along anymore, or there's something fishy going on here. So I don't know if anyone else caught on quicker than I did.
I don't think I
didn't. I'll admit it.
I didn't catch on to the fact.
Me neither.
Which I think made it for pretty good writing, to be honest.
Yeah, I never could have imagined that it was an innator doing all of this. Especially how Isabella tried so hard to stay calm. I feel like I know that she was under the influence of the innator as well, but she disguised it so well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
I have to imagine it pushes however their regular personalities would be to an extreme, right? So some of the other Fireside girls who are not quite as, much leaders got to that point much quicker. Mm-hmm. For Isabella, she still got there, but like it was just.
By the way, question for the group. Have y'all read Lord of the Flies?
Now I have.
Since watching this episode, you read it?
No, my joke is that this episode was Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, like Tami, have you read it?
No, I haven't.
I haven't. No.
Have you?
It something of the plot is like a bunch of kids like driving each other insane, right?
The plot is
like
a bunch of kids are like stranded on an island, do like a plane crash or something, and they're all orphans, and then they have to like band together, and they have like this shell that determines who talks, and they have like a circle, and then they all turn on each other towards the end.
Oh, so the trope of Isabella only talking when she's holding the manual, that was a reference to that.
The manual is representative of the shell in that book. I think it was a shell. I don't remember. But and at how they end, they all end up turning on each other, and it results in I'm not gonna spoil it. It's a good book, but that's why this episode's called Lord of the Firesides. And I figured it was gonna be a parody of that book. And they nailed it.
That's a good episode title.
Yeah.
For both of these, honestly.
Same way that The Remains of the Platypus is based off The Remains of the Day, and very few people know about it, and therefore don't understand the episode.
Shout out books.
Shout out to literature, for real.
I also want to give a quick shout out. I think it's cool how many of the voice actors for the Fireside Girls they got back, because, they're not the most prominently speaking characters on the show, but I think they've remained pretty remarkably consistent with the voice cast. I think some have changed here and there. I do know Michaela Z was back as Ginger, and the only reason I'm shouting her out is because Zach and I got to very briefly meet her when we attended Ming-Na Wen's Hollywood Walk of Fame star ceremony. If you don't know, Michaela Z is Ming-Na Wen's daughter, so she was there. I was like, oh my gosh, Michaela Z, you voiced Ginger. And I asked her to sign this Ginger artwork, which I ended up giving to Clarice. And she looked so surprised that a person was recognizing her for playing Ginger Hirano.
Also, just going to add on to that story. There's video of Andrew being like, Michaela Z, sign my thing. And as Michaela Z is signing it, Ming-Na Wen just walks right past y'all. He had his priorities.
Well, I got to meet Stacy's mom later,
That's true.
But
yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to give a shout out.
And we will as viewers too.
All right, Tami, I have a question for you, which is, Can you tell us what Isabella's actual favorite cupcake flavor is? Because apparently there's some controversy.
Oh god, it pissed me off, and I can't believe no one in that writer's room remembered. Which, to be fair, okay, it's been a while, and there's so many facts from every single character, like, you can't remember everything. And, like, I know that they rely on the Phineas and Ferb wiki, but Isabella's favorite flavor is red velvet. Or at least according to Phineas. So why would you vote on
Phineas
vanilla?
thinks it, Isabella probably believes it.
I will say this writer. I have a connection with this writer on LinkedIn. His name is Oscar Lemus, and I first heard about the episode because he posted on his LinkedIn some screenshots from it, and he said, "I've been a fan of the show for years, and this is the first episode that I got to write."
Aww.
And seeing my name like next to Isabella was such a special moment, and
Aww.
so
You should message him and tell him he got the cupcake flavor wrong.
No, I'm not gonna do that. But like, it's just funny that you're mentioning like maybe the writers forgot. Well, it was a brand new writer, and I'm not. But honestly, like, I think he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, no,
so I just wanted to
that
shout out.
detail
No, the
aside,
episode is great.
agreed.
See, I don't even think it's inconsistent. I think Isabella changed her taste in cupcakes over the past year. Is that a crime? Are people not allowed to?
Oscar gave
Okay,
her character
to-
development.
like,
Okay,
new
but
food.
if she was truly trying to keep the room together, she could have broken the tie just by going back to red velvet.
Yeah, but she was under the influence, remember?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what changed her favorite cupcake flavor. We can chalk it
Yeah,
up to the
maybe
innovator.
maybe her being under the influence is the thing that caused her to deliberately create a tie so that there would be conflict.
Exactly. Otherwise, we wouldn't have an episode.
That's
There you
true.
have
That's
it.
true. I assume eventually we're gonna get to the B plot. But just a couple quick things I want to say about this A plot. I loved the escalation of violence in general was very fun to see. It was almost a little bit out of character for Phineas and Ferb, but like I think the writers were just having, and the storyboard artists were having a lot of fun with it. You have like Holly banging on a drum that's Isabella's head, like that was legitimately kind of violent. You get that zoom out shot at the end.
And is that the music to My Sweet Ride?
Yes. Okay, so not
is.
the actual song, not Watch It Burn, which we can talk about as well, but in that zoom out shot at the end, where it's like the slow motion of the characters all going crazy, I'm fairly certain that that is an instrumental of My Sweet Ride, the version that plays at the beginning of the episode.
Yes.
That's sung by Aaron Daniel Jacob.
I don't
I don't know
think
why they
so.
used that.
I thought it
but-
sounded similar, but I
loved
don't
it.
think it was actually that song.
You can definitely
Um,
sing the lyrics along to it in this episode. And
Same
it works
chord
fine.
progression or similar chord
Yeah.
progression.
Similar kind of doo-wop feel. But I guess, was that a reference to Lord of the Flies, that kind of slow zoom out? Because I was confused about that. I assume it's
Well,
from the movie.
I don't know if there's a Lord of the Flies movie actually. I only know that there's a book, and it's kind of hard to have a musical montage in a book.
I think it was just the storyboard.
Maybe it was just
artists
dramatic
having fun.
effect.
No, they've made 2 Lord of the Flies movies, apparently.
They did. Maybe it is. then.
1963 and 1990.
Oh, maybe it is a reference to the 19. If anybody knows, comment. Bob, if you're listening.
And 2 final things that I want to point out about this fireside sequence. Gonna get self-indulgent again. We had specific ways of characterizing some of the Fireside Girls when it came to MWCA, and there were a couple moments in this episode that I liked because it felt consistent with the way that we characterize them. One of them is you have Millie shouting "General Anger," which was
Yes.
Yeah.
a Millie moment, absolutely.
Yeah.
Major Millie moment.
A major Miller moment.
The other one, we have this shot of Ginger like holding a power drill, and her eyes are like shrunken down, and she looks insane. And in one of the MWCA songs, we gave Ginger the line "drilling." So I'm not crazy enough to think this was intentional, but I just the parallels I found very amusing.
I can't
Also,
believe Ginger
just
drilling is
speaking of-
canon.
Great
Yeah.
lines. Son of a patch. Probably
Yeah,
the favorite
yeah.
line of the whole episode.
A valid crush out. And a small fact, actually, Isabella is now one of the few Disney characters that were allowed to swear in a way.
Who are the others?
Son of a patch
Mickey
being
Mouse.
Isabella's is no, Luz
Talk
from
to
the
the
Owl
Glyph
House.
Witch. Yes.
Talk to the Glyph Witch. And then Grunkle Stan, when he's being monitored by security cameras, he's like, "Oh wait, I'm allowed to swear," and then he gets cuts off.
Yeah.
So like she's now in the Disney almost swearing but not really Hall of Fame. And also, funnily enough, the other day, Across the Second Dimension animatics leaked on the internet.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
one
those
of
were so cool.
And in one of the storyboard scenes where Perry is stuck and Phineas is still mad at him, the voice line for that part was, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." So we got kind of Phineas swearing in a way. So that's always fun.
And it was Dan Povenmire's voice doing like the temp dialogue, just swearing as Phineas.
Yeah.
Is this the first episode that we are going to use the platypus sound?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, this is off topic, but
I'm gonna get that out.
This is off topic from the episode, but I don't know when else we were going to bring it up. Also, the original unaired pilot of Phineas and Ferb got leaked very recently. The same day that we recorded our last episode where we were talking about how David Arago Jr. is now playing Ferb and Jeremy. In the unaired pilot, Mitchell Musso plays Ferb. So there's like this weird parallel between actors playing Ferb and Jeremy at the same time. I thought
had a nickel.
If I had a nickel, I'd have 2 nickels.
See, I don't know if that was the unaired pilot. I think that was like the like the pitch animation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
before
like
only the ending
demo.
part
The
was
pitch for the channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, pitch demo that was like a little, like it was like 4 minutes longer than it turned out to be. Yeah, it was really cool, and it was very weird to see Mitchell Musso's American voice coming out of Ferb's mouth saying they're the only mammals to lay eggs.
Yeah.
Because I think they hadn't decided that it was going to be a blended family at all at that point. I think that was like closer to the almost like a relatively last minute thing.
Imagine how much less interesting Lawrence and Ferb would be if they weren't British. I'm glad they made the change.
Seriously, imagine American Lawrence. Can't even.
Shout out to...
He'd be called Larry or something like that.
Songs with Larry.
Larry Smith. Larry Washington.
We should have classy
anyway.
songs with Lawrence. The part of the show where Lawrence comes out and sings a classy song. That'd be fun.
It's your anniversary.
Yeah.
Tammy, what did you think about the very, very brief part of the episode where Phineas and Ferb walk in to taste test the cupcakes and then get kicked out?
Oh, my poor babies. Apparently girls do grow up faster than boys. Oh god. I love that they showed up at least for like 5 seconds. That was nice. It's always nice to see their faces.
Yeah.
It's also nice to see them, I don't know, interested in what the Fireside Girls are doing, despite them not helping them on any projects.
Yeah, it's wholesome that even though typically, like, you know, Phineas is always doing these huge ideas with Isabella, he's equally as excited just to, like, come by and try a cupcake. I think there's something wholesome about that.
That scene kind of gave off the same energy as the gif from Community of Donald Glover walking in with pizza with the room being on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I liked Isabella's reaction to that in particular, that you can't see us like this, almost like, because she could have probably recruited their help, but is more concerned about not coming across, because she doesn't want to come across like she's lost control of things.
No,
especially
they're
not
always
to
so
Phineas.
calm and collected. There's
especially
no way
not to
Phineas can see her
Phineas.
like this.
Oh my god, I love that line she has in this episode where she goes, "He's more than a triangle," and then throws the cupcake.
Yeah.
That was
She's
so
so
good.
passionate about him this season.
So many good jokes in this episode.
Uh-huh.
No,
It was
my
very, very
personal
good.
favorite from this episode was after they sang off pitch, which, funnily enough, we watched the episode the other day with Andrew, and we made the same joke at the same time.
Yeah,
How was it? How did it go?
Yeah, that was a good joke.
It was like, this is what we sound like before Melodyne, like when we're mixing a song that we record for MWCA.
When we're mixing from MWCA. Oh god, that was
Because you work with so many talented people, but when they're not recording in the same room, they're always dissonant from each other.
Shout out to
It's
both
very
of y'all for
difficult.
doing all the mixing. I mean, I know other people have done mixing, but it's really been you two carrying it. So
Tammy's been so instrumental into so many of the projects
Instrumental?
we've done. So,
John
she's the best.
Yeah, she's instrumental and vocal. I thought that was pretty funny, wasn't it?
No, that was great. That was great.
Thank you.
Then she goes, "Is there a full moon tonight? Is Mercury in retrograde?" And honestly, I've never related to Isabella more in that line. I don't know. I think it was funny. It was not out of character, but it was such a small, you barely notice it, like, kind of line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was she still at that point flipping through the Fireside handbook? Was there something about Mercury in retrograde in the handbook?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was just her wondering, like, what is up with the girls.
She's into the zodiac. She reads her horoscopes.
Yeah. she's according to her, she's a woman of science. At least that's what her
I
horoscope
wouldn't be
says.
surprised if,
Just like
if
Stacey.
Isabella's favorite Weird Al song is your horoscope for today. By the way, we've been talking about this episode for a while, and like, there's a lot to say about it. It's a lot of fun, but we haven't even talked about Doof and Perry. Like,
Yeah.
At all.
Oh yeah, okay, let's get to this. Let's get to this quickly. Or I guess not quickly. Let's get to it immediately. So I want to actually open this one up a bit because I have some thoughts. So the crux of this episode is that Dr. Doofenshmirtz needs to renew his evil business license in order to legally do evil. And he needs to go down to the Danville Embassy for Evil, which is a thing that exists in Danville. But what's honestly even more interesting about this to me is that Auka's business license has also expired last month, which is strange because I was under the impression that this was like publicly funded and like a wing of the U.S. government almost.
Have you seen the economy
So this
lately,
would seem
Alex?
to imply. I was going to say, has Auka been privatized within the past year amidst this wave of austerity?
That's a big question.
Oscar, let us know.
It's a big, we're asking one of the big questions here. Yeah, Oscar, let us know.
I don't know if I have a direct answer to that, but on the flip side, the fact that like Love Muffin and the scientists within Love Muffin can renew their own evil licenses, it gives the implication that either the government is fine with the evil occurring or that they legally can't like arrest Doofenshmirtz. Because it's like, yeah, it's something you don't really think about, and his plans always get thwarted by Perry, so it doesn't super matter, but like, could they come in and arrest him, or is the fact that he has to, like, he gets his license for evil prevent Auka from actually doing that? Like, this is just part of the contract.
Maybe he only realized that his license was expired when he got arrested for bringing Perry onto the boat.
Right! It's the previous episode.
Oh my goodness, we cracked it.
Yeah.
Alex cracked it. By the way, I just side note
There
about
you
the
have it.
scientists in Love Muffin. Slight spoiler: Love Muffin comes back into play in a later episode. I'm surprised that the Love Muffin character that they're giving prominence to is Dr. Diminutive and not Rodney.
Yeah. Because Rodney was always like the one that was Doof's rival.
Yes.
Mhm.
And Diminutive, he's been more of like not a cutaway gag, but like more of like a gag character versus like an actual like rival to Doof. And so I wonder if we are going to see Rodney later this season, or if they just want to stick with Diminutive because they still have D. Bradley Baker.
Who even voiced Rodney?
Oh, who did voice Rodney? First one to pull it up wins.
Oh, I'm not looking. I bet it's also David Arrigo Jr.
According to the Phineas and Ferb wiki, Alois von Rodenstein is voiced by J.G. Orantia, who was a writer and storyboard artist for Phineas and Ferb. His last credit is Night of the Living Pharmacist, so maybe he's not around for season 5.
So maybe that's why they're giving time to the diminutive instead of that character. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they just wanted the gag with him being short so that he would cut in front of him in line.
Yeah. This is making me realize that the fact that it was just presumably one of their writers doing Rodney's voice, that's a good voice.
Yeah, no, terrific voice.
Yeah. We also found out officially canon, at least according to the machine, that Doofenshmirtz is 47 years old this summer.
I feel like that was known before. I don't remember where, but I have written down somewhere when I was like writing character bios for MWCA that Doof was 47. I feel like that might have been on the wiki.
Yeah, but that was last summer.
Oh, right.
So-
He should be 48.
What's going on?
Maybe it doesn't update until he renews the license.
Or maybe his... Oh, no, wait. Didn't we also find out his birthday is midsummer? So maybe he was 47 by the end.
Yeah, like most of the characters on Phineas and Ferb have their birthdays in the summer.
That's true.
Yeah, does any character like just
That's
have
an
their
odd
birthday?
coincidence.
Any other? Because we know confirmed we have Mom, we have Phineas, we have Candace, we have Isabella, we have Doof, we have Perry,
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Yeah, that's like all the characters.
Wait,
You can't be a part of the show if your birthday is not during summer.
Everyone except for the Brits.
Yeah.
Baljeet and Buford.
Yeah, they don't have a Buford Baljeet episode.
Every character is just born when it's warm in their climate. Actually, I think England's
don't
in the
know
same
if that-
hemisphere as us. Never
Yeah.
mind.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't track.
Any other thoughts on the Doof
I
Perry
don't know. I'm just
plot?
a sucker for Doof and Perry running errands. I think that's always a fun trope. To them just being like, we're done with the scheme. Want to hang out? Like, I like that Perry has no obligation unless that's how he's getting paid. Like, cause you know, maybe he's clocked in and he's like, well, I can't clock out. May as well, run errands. I just
He's
always
got to
enjoyed
do
that.
something.
Yeah.
I love that they canonically established that they're frenemies at this point, that their boundaries are fluid.
Yeah,
that was funny.
that
was
line
a
was
good
so
line.
funny. I was like, they're throwing fans a fun little bone with that line.
I don't know. I while I liked them running errands, and let's just montage this with the test. I thought they were funny moments. The plot wasn't super memorable to me until the very ending beat that revealed what the Innator was. Like, I think that really wrapped it up really, really well and made this episode stand out to me.
Yeah, structuring it that way with the twist, I think is what made this episode stand out.
Mm-hmm.
I think because you all said earlier on that none of you really saw that kind of twist coming. I didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but the reason I thought, oh, maybe there's something weird going on here. Maybe they're like pranking her for some reason. And maybe that is just because I am still very like Nathan Fielder, the rehearsal brained, where you're always like half expecting everything to be fake. So yeah, second time I bring up Nathan Fielder on Afterferb.
I'll make the list. I'll make the list.
That would have been such a mean prank, though. You're not the boss of us. She literally is. Poor Isabella.
Yeah.
If we have one person here to sympathize for Isabella, we certainly brought the right guest. I want to circle back because I mentioned that they sort of imply that Melissa either the effects of the Innator didn't wear off for her, or she was never hit by it, because in that last shot, once they've all made up, she's still like crawling on the roof with a spear. Like, that girl might just be evil. And it kind of breaks the rule. We've talked about this on this podcast before, like the no idiots, no jerks. Susie Johnson was always an exception to that rule. Like, she's legitimately just like I know she's like 3 or whatever, but she's not a good person.
She's 6.
Are the characters?
How old are you?
I'm sorry.
1, 2?
I know
It's
she's
hard to
3,
tell.
but she's not a good person. That's such a good
No,
quote.
she's malicious. And presumably Melissa, like, she has beef with Candace too. Do like the writers of the show just like hate children?
Wait, do you think? What if she pairs up with Susie later?
Ooh.
That would be a great setup, actually.
Season 6.
There you go.
You can never tell what like hanging thread of Phineas and Ferb will come back and what's just a total non sequitur. Because there's stuff like, I never thought that like the rogue rabbit was gonna return. Like, I feel like I could see them actually bringing Melissa back or something.
Well, I also couldn't believe that they brought the Stotrope back from that
Yeah.
old animatic. Like, I thought that was just an old idea that would never see the light of day. Back in the day, Aliki posted an animatic on Instagram that it was mainly directed towards Finbella fans, but like the main invention for the boys was gonna be a big zoetrope so that they could tell their summer stories when they got back to school. But I guess they never did that, so they're doing it this summer.
Yeah, made it a whole new context, but no, it's cool when stuff like that comes back. One last, I think, fairly major part of this episode that we've yet to talk about is the song.
The song.
I'm curious, Tami, what you thought of this song. So this is "Watch It Burn." Mm-hmm. It's sung by the Fireside Girls, but the actual singer for the vocals is Dan Povenmire's daughter, Alex. And it's like a rock, like metal, almost screamo. What did you think about it?
It's iconic. Okay, so I heard all the songs before watching the season because the soundtrack came out earlier. And I was surprised that was part of a Phineas and Ferb soundtrack. I was shocked, but I was pleased. It's one of my favorite songs, actually.
It almost feels like they might have been going through like, all right, what genres have we not really done before? Bossa Nova, Screamo. All right, let's just discover a context in which we can, feasibly put in a Screamo song. And maybe the entire episode is built around that. I don't know. That's just
unironically two of my favorite songs from the new soundtrack.
Yeah,
it was fun.
No, this pair of episodes near the top of the tier for the songs.
See, I'm not a huge fan of just the screamo genre. That being said, the lyrics in this song take it over the edge for me.
Oh yeah, it's like you're vanilla, but I'm seeing red, and then they shout velvet.
Yeah, or even like, and this escalated in less than an hour. Like, that's also really good.
Yeah, it was good. Oh, this was the type of song that, like, if I was watching Phineas and Ferb as a kid and this song started playing, my mom would have been like, "Can you turn that off, please?"
It is loud, but it does get the point across.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any thoughts on "Down with Isabella"?
My poor Isabella. Oh my god.
I mean, when you phrase it like that, it's hard to disagree.
Or cheese plate. Millie saying cheese plate.
I could go for a cheese plate right now.
That was a major Millie moment. Cheese plate.
Grace, if you're listening to this, I'm glad you got your Millie moment.
Grace, if you're listening to this, say cheese plate. All right. I have just one more question before we close this episode out. Here's the question. Who even thinks triangles are cute?
Isabella.
And
I think they're cute.
Probably like a scientist's name, like isosceles and stuff like that.
Pythagoras.
Yeah, Pythagoras. Yeah.
Or the entire Bill Cipher fandom.
Ooh, that's a good answer. Do people simp for Bill Cipher?
They do.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Wait, Tami, I just realized you're an architect student. So, as an architect, what are your thoughts on triangles?
God, I love triangles.
This is why you can relate to Isabella so much.
I can relate to Isabella so much. He's more than just a triangle. Let her have a crush. Why are they judging her so hard? Please.
I would argue they judge Ginger even harder when she has a crush on Baljeet.
Right? Like that's
They're really mean about it.
Yeah.
Because he's a nerd, I believe. Like Phineas is kind of like a cool kid making stuff for their friends to have fun during their summer.
Yeah.
I believe that that's more impressive than doing the actual math for those impressive machinery to work.
Yeah, like Phineas does the math, but he doesn't like talk about it. Like
Exactly.
Yeah, seriously. Do we think that Millie has a crush on Isabella?
yeah, they have that one little scene in this episode where she's like, "I feel so safe with you, Isabella." I know you could just as easily interpret that as
I think that's just the setup to her being immediately dragged out.
yeah. Oh, and the claw marks.
The Clarks, oh.
But I have no reason not to believe
Yeah.
that Millie has a crush on Isabella.
Yeah, seriously. All right. So, Tami, would you like to plug yourself / your stuff?
Well, the majority of stuff that I'm doing right now is in Spanish, so I don't know how many people either talk the language. But I'm currently singing covers, totally legal covers of Hamilton this time.
Great.
So we're doing that on YouTube, and also I don't know, just follow me anywhere. I'm nice, I promise, and I sing sometimes.
Nice. Hell yeah. Everyone follow Tami. And everyone, thank you for listening. Please subscribe to this channel. Like the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube. Copy the link and send it to 5 of your closest friends and 3 of your farthest enemies. And make sure
Rate us
to
5 stars
leave a comment.
on Spotify.
Yeah, rate us 5 stars on
Or
Spotify.
Apple
If you
Music,
leave
or wherever it is.
or send us a letter in the mail. And remember, what was the hashtag? Hashtag
Potato salad
potato
nickels.
salad nickel. Yeah, remember
Hashtag potato salad nickels. Not contrived at all.
The end.
Cloudy with a chance of mom.
Hey, I know what we're gonna analyze. The episodes in season 5. Hope it brings you laughter.
Just want to give a quick shout out to Carlybella for drawing the red velvet cupcake that you see on the Afterferb table.
This is Afterferb.